In days gone by, most professional service firms would start their new client relationships in the analog world. We used to produce conferences and events, hold seminars, and shake hands at trade shows. Even our non-in-person promotions were analog. We would print advertisements and newsletters to mail to people with a real, honest-to-goodness U.S. Postal Service stamp. Sounds funny now, doesn't it? Oh, the good old days. Most relationships now begin in the digital world and stay there until very late in the sales cycle. This is what I've come to call the invisible relationship. If your firm is struggling to acquire ideal new clients, it is very likely because you are struggling to form meaningful, invisible relationships. This is the key to new client acquisition. Let's explore how to do this. When I was a poor college student in the 1980s, and yes, I know that dates me, I could afford very little entertainment. But there was one thing I could afford: the beloved 1-cent Columbia Records subscription. Do you remember these? For 1 penny, I could get 17 albums or CDs on a promise to buy 12 more at regular price over the next year. Now, how could I resist a deal like that? My buddy Jeff, who possessed encyclopedic knowledge of all things classic rock, was an audiophile like me. I ordered my 17 CDs and invited Jeff over for an adult beverage and a listening marathon. And late into the night, we listened to CD after CD and pored over the artwork and the liner notes. Like I said, I was broke. I noticed something on the back of the CD jackets and brought it to Jeff's attention. I noted that most CDs had 3 letters in bold prints. Sometimes the letters were AAD, sometimes they were ADD, and very, very rarely at that time, some were DDD. It piqued my curiosity. Jeff explained to me that these 3 letters stood for the 3 phases of how music was produced at that time. The first letter stood for how it was recorded, either in digital or analog, using old-fashioned tape machines. The second letter stood for how it was mixed, whether it was on an analog system or a digital system created from tapes that were converted to digital. The final letter stood for how it was mastered. While vinyl records, yes, vinyl, were inherently analog products, CDs were inherently digital. This is why the final letter was always a capital D. All source materials were converted to digital in the last step. So why do I tell you this story? Because this process mirrors how we form relationships today. I believe that we now form meaningful relationships using a DDA model. The first D represents how prospective clients become aware of us. The second D represents how we nurture those relationships until they're ready to convert. And the A represents the actual human interaction that occurs as prospective clients convert to being actual clients. Now, most prospects learn about either a specific offering from a service firm or the service firm itself in the digital world. There are literally thousands of small to medium-sized professional service firms today, and virtually all of them use content marketing with varying degrees of success to create awareness of their brands. They're using blogs, social media networks and groups, infographics, email newsletters, and even video channels to engage the interest of prospective new clients. This is what I call the first D, digital awareness. The first D is relatively easy to create. There are all sorts of people looking for good ideas in virtually every professional services market niche. These people will gladly, trust me, consume your content, fill out your registration forms, watch your videos, and spend time on your website. But when it comes to conversions, well, that's not so easy. I believe that it is the middle D, digital nurturing, that accounts for most of these non-conversions. Nurturing digital relationships requires a great deal of effort. This is what I would characterize as the transition from lead nurturing to content marketing. Recall the Nurture and Harvest article and video in which I explain that it takes 2 kinds of strategies to consistently fill your pipeline with real prospective clients. I want to make a distinction here that I think is at the heart of the conversion issue. Lead nurturing tactics like blog posts, newsletters, and infographics are sort of like a shallow swim. Prospective clients dip their toes in your content, but they don't take the big plunge. Content marketing tactics like webinars to some degree, white papers, books, and action guides, well, those are a deep dive where prospective clients spend a great deal of time with your content and your ideas. This is where you shape their notions of the best possible way to achieve their goals, realize their opportunities, and overcome their challenges. Most importantly, this is where they gain affinity for you and confidence in your knowledge, expertise, and ability to help them. If you're struggling to convert digital relationships to analog, where leads enter meaningful dialogue with your sales team, it's very likely that your deep dive content is not producing leaning in behavior, where prospects deeply desire to take next steps with you. I see this all the time. I talk to companies who have thousands of followers on social media and have large newsletter lists, but when it comes to meaningful sales conversations, well, those are few and far between. Usually this happens because their deep dive content misses the mark in these critical areas. It does not speak directly to the goals, opportunities, and challenges of ideal clients. It does not contain enough rich ideas to inspire prospects, giving them reason to desire more and stimulating that leaning in behavior. It does not provide a step-by-step approach that demonstrates mastery of how to make sense out of chaos and what steps to take. The structure and presentation of the content is not gated, tracked, and scored in such a way that it maximizes opportunity to enter conversations. These are just the beginning of the ideas that we've discovered over the last year or so about how to use content marketing much more effectively. In fact, I've distilled this knowledge into a deep dive action guide called 7 Steps to a Content Marketing Program that consistently yields ideal clients. This action guide contains 7 videos and 7 downloadable tools that you can apply to your content marketing programs right now. This free resource shows you exactly how to do what I'm talking about here. If you want to make your content marketing programs even better, turning them into a systematic machine that pulls prospects toward meaningful sales conversations, I encourage you to register for this free action guide right now.